Welcome our next guest, Riley Thorane.
So close. Not really, that was quite the butchering of my last name. It's pronounced Terrian, but it was a valiant effort, I'll give you that. I'm just glad it was my last name, and that I didn't walk up here, welcome to the stage, and meet and greet all of you wonderful fellows, only to hear, Riley Reed. Yikes. Oh God, that is not what I was up here for. That is not what I had in mind or was prepared to do. Sorry if that disappoints any of you. Then I'd have to awkwardly shuffle off of stage and preferably find the nearest 6-foot hole to drop myself into and accept my funeral. Because what's there really to do in life after such an embarrassing feat like that? They'd probably get my name wrong too. Here lies Riley Theron. It's Terrian! At least that's what I would say in my mind. In reality, I'd probably just quietly whisper, hey, it's not pronounced, close enough. It's not that important. It's only my funeral. Well, anyways, it's wonderful being here in front of you guys tonight. It's a wonderful evening. I hope all of you are having a good day as well. Let's give it up for good old Pittsburgh. Just kidding. No one that lives here is that optimistic. I remember years ago in high school when I took AP Government, and one of the subjects that stood out to me was the judicial branch. I know, I was one of those AP kids. It's honestly baffling that I ever got any of my work done. I mean, who am I fooling? I am a master procrastinator. I mean, I wrote 90% of this speech I'm giving right now yesterday. The other 10% today. And I asked for extra time. I might as well went up to the producers and said, hey, I know the show is supposed to come out on this date, but could it be pushed back, please? Yes, it can be pushed back in the spirit of a good show. You are going to use that time effectively, right? Yeah, definitely. So anyways, my Gov teacher, he's a great man. I'll miss him. He's not dead. It's been 10 hours since I last saw him. He assigned the class a project on judicial term limits, and which didn't seem too bad. After all, there's a pretty good argument you could make for how baffling it is that there's virtually no restrictions on justices. I mean, as long as the Senate approves with a simple majority, the president could appoint a 6-year-old Chinese immigrant, and without violating the Constitution. And then that kid could stay on the court for 80 years. How crazy is that? That's like 3 economic recessions and 7 wars, to put it in American units. Just kidding, more like 14. So the class had a few options to choose from. You could make an infomercial, a docudrama, or even an obituary. My teacher, gotta love him, they had a few screws loose. So my nerdy, introverted, teenage brain thought, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll do a comedy routine. What was I thinking? I've never done a routine before. And I'm definitely procrastinating, which isn't going to help. Plus, the last thing you want to hear from a teenager anyways are jokes and politics. So imagine younger me sitting in front of the camera, all pale and nervous, shaking, saying, so, what's the deal with old judges? In Federalist 78, Hamilton states, hence it is that there can be but few men in the society who will have sufficient skill in the laws to qualify them for the stations of judges. But the population has increased by almost 100 times since then, and lifespans have increased as well. So the term limits seem pretty appropriate now that there are a Hamilton of candidates. It was horrible. It was horrible. I was basically geriatric up there. I had more in common with an old person. I was shaking, drenched in sweat, forgetting my lines, barely cognitive, staring off in the distance at absolutely nothing intensely. But seriously, though, the Constitution really is way too vague on the judicial branch. I mean, in Article 3, Section 1, it simply states, judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall take their offices during good behavior. Yada, yada. What in the world does that mean? Are we talking good as being functional and a rational judge? Or simply going the whole day without soiling your pants? I mean, where do we draw the line? There are serious consequences here. People's lives are at stake. I don't want to go to jail because some judge was too busy practicing for their retirement home's bingo card. Let's see. For 14th Amendment, racial discussion, vague precedent in similar previous case. Order in the court. Bingo! Of course, they should be experienced and set in stone with their principles. Old judges are fine. I just support just a simple starting 20-year term limit for the modern world. Plus, they should have checkups every so often to test that good behavior. And maybe it should be applied to the general public as well. Then I'd have a future reason not to go to social gatherings. Sorry, can't hang out at this party today. My old age test came back, and it was positive. The fact that judges are taking longer and longer offices in recent years is scaring me, especially during a period of time of great technological innovation. I mean, they only recently discovered how to use Zoom because of a virus. And now the real threat is AI, which is exactly why we should just feed the Constitution right into ChatGPT and make it the 10th member of the Supreme Court. It'll be more genuine than a concerning number of students' essays nowadays. Old legislation wasn't made for this environment. Next thing you know, judges will be holding virtual court cases, but unbeknownst to them, all the other people are just AI videos. I mean, what a future to live in. Hey, ChatGPT, create a court defense video explaining how it was an honest mistake that I got a hold of 200 grams of cocaine. But to close up, I have something to confess. I have to make an apology to you guys. I'm sorry, YouTuber style, about the 200 grams of cocaine. No, jokes aside, this is my first time doing a comedy routine. That nervous, shaking teenager is me. But I think there's a lesson to be had here. I think we could look at judges in a similar way that we look at comedians. They have a difficult role. They don't know how it'll all play out. Skill and relevance matters more than the group that they came from, and not everyone's going to like them. But they have a baseline, a series of ideas set in stone into their mind. They're old enough to be taken seriously, but young enough to stand with purpose. And maybe tell a pun every now and then. Liven up the courtroom. Seriously, can't stand it. It's like I'm drowning in judicial terms and legal nonsense. Or maybe not. Objection, Your Honor. The defendant's joke was too offensive. Overruled. Racism is funny. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. It was a wonderful experience. I hope all of you have an amazing rest of your day. Peace.